So that's the basics of reading the clock. Now, a time card is a way of recording all your hours that you've already worked, and a lot of this is fairly obvious. So you have the number of the day of the week that you've worked. That's fairly straightforward. Everybody pretty much gets that. Morning. Now, what this is any time that you worked from midnight until noon, right? So from 12 midnight, which is 12 a.m., to noon, which would be 12 p.m. Your afternoon hours are sort of like the opposite. It's any hours that you work from noon until midnight. Okay. Now, your overtime hours are going to vary. So what overtime means is what hours you get overtime for will be listed in your question. Right? I will tell you when you get overtime hours. Okay. Now, regular hours down here. This is, oh, let me get a better color marker here. Regular hours is what you get when you add up your afternoon hours. You're going to put it in these boxes here. Okay. Anytime you have overtime hours listed, you're going to add them up and you're going to put them either in the overtime 1.5 or the overtime times 2, depending on what it says in the question. Once you get all that done, you're going to total up. So you're going to add together all your regular hours, you're going to add together all your overtime hours, and you're going to add together all your overtime times 2 hours. So let's go through and we'll look at an example card and we'll calculate the hourly wages. So here's my example card. I started out, I worked from 9 in the morning on Monday till noon. So I go 9, so that'd be 10, 11, 12, so that's 3 hours. So I worked 3 regular hours there. On Tuesday afternoon, I worked from 1:30 to 4, so from 1:30 to 2:30, or sorry, from 1:30 to 2 would be half an hour. So half an hour is 0.5. And then, so that'd bring us to 2 o'clock, so 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So that would be 2.5 hours that I worked there. On Wednesday, I worked from 8 to 11, so 8 to 9 to 10 to 11, so that's 3 hours in the morning. And then I worked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours in the afternoon, so that's a total of 8 hours in my regular hours. On Friday, I worked overtime from 5 to 8, so I'm not sure where I'm going to put this yet, in 1.5 overtime or 2. And same with my Saturday. So let's just take a look here. Assume you're making $12 an hour, and that's going to be important on the next page when we calculate our total number of hours. You get 1.5 overtime during the weekdays. So that would be Monday. Weekdays would be Friday or Monday to Friday. So on Friday overtime, so I get overtime 1.5 for those hours. And you get times 2 overtime during the weekends, so Saturday and Sunday. So on Saturday morning from 11 to 12, that's 1 hour, and from 1 to 3, so that's 2 hours, is 3 hours total for my overtime. So what do we got here total? We would have 8 plus 2.5 plus 3 is 13.5 regular hours. We would have 3 hours of overtime times 1.5 and 3 hours of overtimes times 2.0. Okay, so oops, went one too far, so let's go back. So multiply each amount by the hours of appropriate pay. Assume for this problem you make $12 an hour. That's what we said before. So we are making 13.5 regular hours. Then we have 3 hours and 3 hours. So now we're going to use our calculator. So we got 13.5 times 12 equals $162 would be my regular hours pay. Then we got 3 times 12 times 1.5 for my first batch of overtime hours, gives us $54. And then for my weekend hours, we got 3 times 12 times 2, because I get paid the times 2 overtime for the weekend is 72. It's $72. And so to find out how much I made that week, I'm going to total this all up. Well, I didn't make any change, so 2 plus 4 plus 2 is 8. 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 7 is 18. Carry the 1, 1 and 1. So I made $288 total for that work. So again, pay attention to the question. It's going to tell you when you get paid overtime and what kind of overtime you get paid, and you're going to have to make sure to multiply it by the appropriate amounts. So what's next? I want you to watch this video over again a couple of times until you're sure you can get it. And remember, there's 3 different sections. There's the part about reading the clock, and then there's the part about filling out your time card and your overtime stuff. Then I want you to try and do the worksheet. Feel free to go back and watch the video again if you think it helps or if you're a little bit confused, and then just go through and give it a try. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys again soon. I look forward to seeing you next week.